New cards, PogChamp. New cards, PogChamp. Wait a minute. Hey everybody, Espira, and we just got a update to the Gundam card game website, which now has the entire card list for the beta. Got a little bit of a refresh too. It now has like an events section and like a news section, and goes a little bit more into detail about a couple of things. But I am super excited that we finally get to see the entirety of the card list. We still don't know precisely what everything looks like for the beta boxes. The Bandai Card Fest U-Treasure is going to be the first opportunity to be able to see that. However, we do get an understanding of the cards, and we already know like some of the promos that they're going to get, like the EX space and stuff like that. But nevertheless, we have all the cards, which allows us to be able to finally take a deep dive into the format we're going to be playing for who knows how long. Because if you guys haven't realized yet, there is no distributor info out there right now for the Gundam card game for the first set, which means at a minimum, we're probably still 5 to 6 months away from a full release, which means we're going to be sitting on this beta format for quite a while. Nevertheless, we're just going to jump into the cards. Going to do this a little bit more conversational here, just because we've got a lot going on and we can scope by color. So there are obviously a number of cards that we have already seen. So a lot of that will be a rehash or just looking at alternate arts that we haven't had the chance to look at in the first place. So we've got the RX-782 Gundam. We already know about this one. A level 4 3 cost as a 3/4 with repair 2, and then during pair it can bump up all your units by 1, which 1 actually makes a big difference. 1 makes a difference between winning combats, breaking bases for a lot of like 4 attack units. It's actually incredibly annoying. So we already know about this card, and then there's the alt art, which is very cool, and I love how they're meshing different art styles. We're going to see a little more alt arts down the line where it's like an incredibly diverse art style, and I'm a big fan of the level of artistry that is on pace for this game. So then we've got Gundam MA form, level 5 3 cost. When paired with a white base team pilot, you get to draw 1 card. Keep up that hand draw consistency is super important. And then it's got the link pairing with Amuro Ray. Then we've got GM, which is just a 1 cost 2/2. Need those early units, need to make them happen. There's the Amuro Ray, we already know about that. And then there's Thoroughly Damaged, a level 2 1 cost command. Main, choose 1 rested enemy unit, deal 1 damage to it. And then it has the benefit that it also has the pilot as Hayato Kobayashi, which gives +0/+1. Not fantastic stats, but these commands that are able to be pilots is huge. I love the flexibility of being able to do multiple things with our cards. Now the question is, how good is 1 damage? Honestly, it's better than you would think. The 1 damage ping is usually the difference between being able to get rid of something or not get rid of something. But with the existence of these cards, I think people are going to be more aware that if you're on blue, they're likely to get pinged for 1. And it is very interesting that blue is the ping color. Usually that's like red in any game, but here it's blue. So I don't know. I think it's very interesting. I really want this to be good, but I'm not entirely sure yet. Moving on, we've got Kai's Resolve. Choose 1 friendly unit, recovers 3 HP. This is another one of those where I'm like, all right, well, if you combine this with green, then your Wing Gundam is always healthy, and it's almost impossible for them to get rid of a 7 health Wing Gundam. It only costs 1, so it's really easy to hold back on your attack with your Wing Gundam for 1 turn, to then pilot it with hero, swing, then pay the 1 to be able to heal probably the 3 to 4 damage on top of it. Then you get the benefit of just having another pilot that gives +1/+0. So it's not phenomenal, but there's use cases for it. But we'll see. I think the fact that damage sticks does make healing better, but it is a card that does nothing, and your deck can only have so many pilots. And if we're combining this with like green or white, those decks have phenomenal pilots, which we'll see in a bit. So then we've got a white base, level 3 2 cost. Deploy this card, then add 1 card for your shields in your hand once you deploy it. Then as an active main, you get to make yourself a token, and it's bigger depending if you have nothing on board. We've got Gun Cannon, of course, repair 1, and then 1 pair, choose 1 immune with 2 or less health and rest it. And what's cool about Gun Cannon, it's got really cool alt art. So for all you Gun Cannon lovers out there, I know you guys exist. Here is a beautiful alt art for you there. Moving on over, we got, of course, Unicorn mode. I'm just going to zoom through the ones that we already know about. I'm going to give them a quick read because obviously not everyone knows what they are, but I'm not going to spend too much time on cards that we've had for a while now. So during pair, when destroyed, if you have a Link pilot, which is Venegar Link, so you get to bounce them back in your hand, so you get to save your pilot when Unicorn is destroyed. And then we got Gun Tank. Deploy, choose 1 rested enemy unit, deal 1 damage to it. So this is where it's like, now we get a unit that's able to ping for 1, and what's better about units is that they're able to break shields on their own because shields have 1 HP. So that being the case, I don't know, I feel pretty good about like including guards like Gun Cannon, because they can just get in for early damage. And in the late game, they can help with that pinch 1 damage you might need to be able to destroy something. So this is like surprisingly good. I have high hopes for Gun Tank. Then we've got G Fighter, level 3, 2 cost. Deploy, choose one of your white base team units, and it gains a high maneuver during this turn. And high maneuver, for those who don't know, is this unit can't be blocked. It is a 3/2. Not phenomenal, because not every strategy really leans on blockers. It is going to be a huge question mark how good blockers are in this game, because there are a lot of games where they kind of use it. They are stronger in games like One Piece and Digimon, but in games like Dragon Ball, they're completely useless. It is going to be interesting to see in the spectrum how good cards that block are, which obviously, if blocker isn't great, it kind of doesn't matter if high maneuver exists. But hey, this is a card that's able to extend your big attackers into attacking into things that would not be a blocker, or be able to close out the game if your opponent decides to rely on blockers as a means to be able to deal with you. Then we've got Loda, which is just a 2/2 Earth Federation vanilla. Then we've got Gundam, of course, 3/4 Earth Federation white base team vanilla. We got Ball, which heals 1 on swing. Then we got Jigen, level 3, 2 cost. While you have 2 or more Earth Federation units in play, this card in your hand gets cost -1, thus making it a 1 cost 2/3. Getting it off super early isn't fantastic, and then in the late game, paying a 2/3 for 1 isn't phenomenal, but it's fine. It is just a common, so we don't stress that out too much. Then we got Rizel, which is a 4/3 vanilla, which I actually like the stats on this a lot. Level 3, 2 cost, that's a 4/3, is pretty saucy stats. Like, this is a vanilla that you should probably actually keep your eye out on if you're trying to deck build. Then, of course, we've got Banagher Lynx, level 5 pilot with a 1 cost. When paired, if this is a link unit, you get to draw 1 card, and it gives +2/+2. Just good stats all around. And then he's got the alt art, and now we actually have the full. Before, it was like a stitched together version based on the video. Here we finally have the full alt art. From there, we've got Reed Marcedes. I'm going to butcher some of these names, guys. That's my bad. Level 3, 1 cost pilot. If this unit has a repair, it gets AP +1. Very cool. Early game, there are things like Gun Cannon could definitely make usage of this to swing upwards and then still get the, the repair and stuff like that. And those buff stats are very much welcome. Then intercept orders, of course. Choose one enemy unit with 5 or less HP, rest it, and then it's got the main act action. Choose one or two enemy units with 3 or less HP and rest. A Show of Resolve, which also does have the alt art here, so just a clean draw 2. Every blue deck in existence is going to be playing this card. From there, we've got side 7. I think this is the only level 1 base. So level 1 base, 1 cost. And when we're looking in the worlds of healing, and I'm like, ooh, it'd be really cool if my Wing Gundam could have a little bit more health, so it could have a little bit more sustain. Side 7 is one of those things where I'm considering it, because if my opponent's attacking into side 7 instead of my Wing Gundam, then I get the benefit of not only having healed my Wing Gundam, but now my opponent is dealing with the base as opposed to dealing with my board, which I feel like is where I want to be. I don't know. You can tell like my head is churning in terms of the different synergies we've got right now, even with the small card pool. The only thing about this base, however, is that it's got 4 health as opposed to 5. And that threshold makes a big difference. If you're going up against white, which is 1/3 of the card pool, a lot of their cards only swing for 4. So the fact that you don't have that extra 1 means that their attacks are more likely to get through. Just something to consider. But you can get this down early, right? So it keeps your early stuff healthy. I don't know. I'm still deciding on where I land with this. It has the activate main that you get to rest it, and then you get to heal by 1. And as we wrap around, that is all the blue cards, which of course means we can pivot on over to the green card. And whether to kick it off, then our Breach 5 Wing Gundam with his beautiful alt art is probably the best alt art, although a lot of the pilot alt arts are absolutely gorgeous. Moving on up, of course, we've got bird mode, place 1 EX resource on deploy, so it's like a temporary ramp. Then we've got Maganac, which is actually a very important card if you're looking to play any of the Sandrock cards, because obviously it plays out a Maganac, so you want full value out of that. And I will say, at the cost of I think it's 4 cost, you get yourself like a 4/4, and tied to that, you get a 3/2 body, and then the 4/4 can actually be piloted for like +1/+1 stats. It's pretty hot. Like I think there might be something there in terms of like a flooding strategy. Got Hero, which did not get an alt art. I am stunned that Hero of all people didn't get an alt art, but maybe that is something they're saving for the main set as opposed to the beta box. But I'm stunned that our boy Hero did not get an alt art. Moving on, we've got a Simultaneous Fire, level 4, 1 cost. With a activate main, choose one of your units against a Breach 3 during this turn. So Breach 3 is good, but it's not, phenomenal. I think it's really good in a position where your opponent doesn't have a base, and then it's like not so good if they do have a base. But nevertheless, the fact that you can just choose when you want that to happen, and It also has +1/+1 as a pilot, is some nice bonus there. And then we've got Peaceful Timber. The action during this battle, your shield areas can't be destroyed or deal damage by things that are level 4 or lower for that battle. And then, of course, Katla being the +1/+1 pilot for the Sandrock. St. Gabriel Institute is a level 2 cost, 5 health base that can look at the top 2 cards of your deck, top deck 1, bottom deck 1. From there, we've got Zaku 1, a level 1 cost with 1 AP, 2 HP. Not much to say about the vanilla. Then another vanilla in Zaku 2, which is a level 2 1 cost with 1 2 stats. And then on attack, this unit gets AP +2 during this turn. So it's a 1 cost, 3 2 aggressively, and then defensively it's a 1, which is not phenomenal, but it's not terrible. Then we've got Char. We've been messing around with this card for a minute. Level 3 1 cost. During this turn, this unit gets AP +1, and if it's a link unit, it gets high maneuver. And then, of course, there's the alt art here. From there, we've got Falmel, which is a level 3 2 cost base that on deploy will be able to add a Char Zaku token onto the board. Then we've got Char Zaku 2, which is a level 3 2 cost, and on destroyed, if it's paired, then you also make a token there. So Char naturally flooding the board with a bunch of Zakus. I feel like going to be one of the stronger strategies in this beta format, but to be seen. We're going to be spending a lot of time discovering this format. And then there's the alt art, which I think the alt art is absolutely sick. I think that is a super clean Zaku 2 alt art. Then we've got Sandrock, and that's the one I was talking about. It's a level 5 with 3 costs, so it's not a 4 cost. On deploy, you may deploy 1 Maganac Corpse, which for what we saw was that vanilla all the way at the beginning of the green reveals. And then it's the link pairing with Katka that we saw previously. Then we've got Rick Dom, level 3 2 cost with Breach 2 as a 3/3. So we'll see a lot of the green reveals are leaning on a lot more Breach cards. So Rick Dom being one of them there. We've got Gel Goog, which is a level 4 2 cost for 3 vanilla. I don't love those stats as much as the ones that we previously saw in blue, but it's not terrible as deck filler, which like going back to talk about cards like these. These kinds of cards are like very much going to fill in space for decks when you consider that it's going to be really tough for people to get a hold of beta edition cards. I presume a lot of beta edition tournaments, play, whatever that's going to happen in between now and the full release of the game are probably going to be proxy legal. And if they're not, you guys are going to be surprised how many vanillas are going to see their slots in their index. just because of the accessibility of the card. Then we've got Gundam Heavy Arm, which is a level 4 2 cost. During pair, this unit gains Breach 3, and of course it pairs with Throa, so it's a 3/4, and then I think Throa gives a +1/+1, so get in that early Breach damage. Then we've got the Wing Gundam, of course just a 4/3 vanilla. Then we've got Shenlong Gundam, which is a level 4 3 cost with Breach 3, and then this one link pairing with Chang Yufei, which Chang is actually like a pretty good card. Pretty good. We're gonna right here. So we've got Chang Yufei, which is a level 4 1 cost. Burst, add this card to your hand, gives +2/+1. They're pretty good stats for a level 4 1 cost pilot. And then during your pair, if this unit has Breach, it can't receive battle damage from enemy units with 3 or less AP. And I think this is huge. The green deck does a phenomenal job, especially with things like Wing Gundam, of chipping away at smaller bodies because your opponent just like they either attack with them or they get attacked into because of things like the Wing Gundam ability. So the fact that now you can start doing early board cleanup on your opponent's units while still protecting your unit's health so that you might be able to do it again is massive. I think that kind of value is huge. So I am a big Chang believer. How far is Yufei going to be used? I don't know, because then it contests with pilots like a Hero in his own deck, which obviously you need Hero because works best with Wing Gundam in terms of just being able to get those attacks off and pressuring your opponent. So I like this pilot a lot in terms of where its usage is going to fall. In terms of deck building, we're going to see how the space kind of makes sense. Then we've got Citizens Take a Stand. Level 4 1 cost command. Burst, add this card to your hand. Main. All your units get AP +2 during this turn. I'm not sold. These kinds of cards end up not being as good in Bandai games in a world where like your opponent doesn't have a health total. They have health cards. So how big your opponent attacks usually doesn't matter. It can matter in the terms that like it might help your smaller things be able to break into a 5 defense base in one shot. But how good that ends up being is a little bit suspect when you could just, like, if that's a concern your deck has, you could just be playing blue and then playing Gundam and then on pair giving everything +1. And that should give everything the stats you care about to be able to break through. So I'm a little bit suspect about how strong this is. And it could very much just end up being a dead card, but we'll see. Then we've got First Connect, which is our premier ramp card. A level 3 cost command. Burst, you get 1 EX resource. And then main, you get 1 rested resource, which has the beautiful alt art. Absolutely gorgeous here in terms of the card art. Fantastic work from the artist here for Gundam card game. Very striking difference, art style wise, but absolutely gorgeous. A big fan. And then that'll wrap up our green reveals, which shifts on over to white. A lot of Academy cards will highlight the white base, and it's going to be very interesting in terms of white's usability because of just they don't have a lot of link pairs, but they have a lot of Academy pairs, which means that white, being a more controlly color, but also has the most means to be able to apply haste pressure, is very interesting. Here we've got Gundam Aerial a bit on form, is a level 4 2 cost 3/4 with a link pairing of Soleta Mercury. So just being able to get those Gundam Aerials online decently quickly. Then we've got the Demi Trainer, which is a level 1 1 cost 1/1 blocker. Then we've got, of course, Mercury. On attack once per turn, choose one of your resources that is active. It's got +1/+2 in terms of its stats. And then we have the alt art. Absolutely gorgeous. Big fan. One of my favorite pieces of art from this set so far. Honestly, Soleta and Aerial have fantastic alt art. Then we've got, okay, this is going to take a minute, boys. Astacacia School of Technology Earth House, level 2 1 cost base. It's a 0/5 burst to deploy this card. To deploy, add 1 of your shields to your hand, and then activate main rest of space. All friendly link units get AP +1 during this turn. I do think the link unit strategy works best in white because so many of their link pairings work with just Academy cards in general, not specifically just Soleta Mercury. So it is more generic in that sense. I think even more so than the white base link units have. So a base working around link units makes a lot of sense because your pilots are probably going to be able to link with anything if you're leaning on the Academy strategy. Then we've got Ale Strike Gundam. Oh, and he's got an alt art too, boys. Level 5 4 cost 4/4 Ale Strike Gundam has blocker, and then when paired with a level 4 or higher pilot, choose 1 enemy unit with 4 or less HP, return to your own hand. You guys have no idea how annoying this card is. It was used against me against my gameplay with Cosmic. Spent a lot of time on that gameplay. If you guys want to check it, link to that in the channel. But yeah, this card's super annoying. It ends up getting in a ton of work. If you end up having synergies with the base that allows you to restand, to use them as a blocker also. And it's not even like the fact is not even just you can restand him so you can be a blocker. It's the fact that you can restand him and you can't be targeted for attacks, which is super annoying. Like the Wing Gundam can't even attack into him, which like, oh my god, such a pain in the butt. So this card's deceptively strong and its alt art is fantastic. So you have the Ale Strike Gundam here just being destroyed on its right side. Well, our right, its our left, its right. But yeah, so a fantastic alt art there. Big fan. Of course, with the link pilot to being Kira. Then we've got the Strike Gundam, level 4, 2 cost 3/3, deploy, draw 1, then discard 1. So white lets you dig, but it's not going to let you hard draw. But nevertheless, this adds consistency to a deck that wants to be able to see very specific pieces. We've got the Strike Dagger, which is a 3/2 vanilla, level 2, 2 cost. Then we got Kira. This card's an asshole. I hate this card. He's so annoying. He's just very generically strong. So a level 4 pilot for 1 cost gives +2/+1 stats. And then on attack, choose 1 enemy unit. It gets AP -2 during this battle. Kira is going to be super annoying. He's going to be a very strong card in this format. Being able to up on combats by shrinking your opponent's stuff down is absolutely massive. Then we've got Hawk of Endymion, which is a level 2 1 cost main action. Choose 1 enemy unit with 3 or less HP. Return to the owner's hand. And then we have Mula Flaga as the pilot, which gives +1/+0. Archangel, level 3 1 cost 5 defense base. Activate main once per turn for 2. Choose 1 friendly unit with blocker, set it as active, and this is the combination. Works really well, obviously, with things like Ale Strike Gundam. Although I do wish we saw cards, and we don't really see any that like gets additional bonuses for blocking, which really feels like this is where a strength like Archangel would come. Then we've got the Perfect Strike Gundam. This is another new reveal when they revealed the brand new show. Like the Gundam had like this live stream where they revealed their new plans for the next year. And we actually got a new reveal from that. So level 5, 3-cost Perfect Strike Gundam. A 4/4 blocker. And deploy, choose one enemy unit with 1 HP, return it to its owner's hand. So not as fantastic as the AO Strike Gundam, but can definitely put in some work. Then we've got Gundam Aerial, level 5, 3-cost. While there are 4 more command cards in your trash, this card in your hand gets reduced by 2. Honestly, Aerial being a 1-cost is super annoying. Combines with Soletta to just be a 4/5, which is actually kind of nice because Aerial can't break shields by itself, but it's just good stats for very, very cheap. For doing things that white wants to do anyways. Then we've got the alt art. I think this is in contention for best alt art in the game. I really like Wing Gundam, and I really like things like First Connect, but this Gundam Aerial pops, and I feel like will be the most in-your-face card in the entire game at the moment. Then we've got the Launcher Strike Gundam, level 4, 3-cost, 3/4 blocker. And then we got Daryl Bald, which is a level 3, 2-cost unit, 4/2 in stat, which is very aggressive. And on deploy, choose one enemy, 1 HP, return it to its owner's hand. This is like deceptively annoying because we were just talking about how like the return to 1 HP can sometimes work and can sometimes not work. But the fact that it's being utilized on a level 3, 2-cost unit is a big deal. There are a lot of units that people will want to be playing early that only have 1 HP. So to force them to be off curve in that way, whether they're playing like a demi trainer or like a ball or something like that, and then having a 4/2 is deceptively good. And it has a link pairing with Academy trait, which is like everything in the Soletta Mercury like universe. So this is a deceptively very good card. And then we've got Michaelis, which is a level 3, 2-cost. And then if there are 4 more command cards you trash, you can get +1/+1, making it a 4/4 2-cost, which again has the link pairing with the Academy trait. That's what I'm saying. The Academy traits are going to go insane in terms of just having link pairings and being able to press. Because thankfully, all of their stats end up being only at 4, which is why a pairing with blue makes a lot of sense. Because if you can get a Gundam on a board with the pairing to be able to give everything +1 attack, then you are actually getting in there against most any base. Then we've got the Strike Gundam Vanilla 3/4 stats on a level 4 2-cost. Then we've got the M1 Astray, which I know a lot of people were waiting to see if this card was going to be a part of everything. And it is. They got the level 2 2-cost common, while you have another triple ship alliance unit in play, which I think right now only is M1 Astray. This unit gets AP +1 and blocker, turning it into a 2-cost, 3/2 with blocker, which is fine. Nothing amazing. I don't know if that's worth it having like 2 of these guys on board, especially. So like the funny part is that if you only have 2 of these guys on board, they both gain AP +1 and blocker. And the moment one of them blocks and dies, the other one loses blocker. So it's fine. Then we got Guel Jeturk, a level 3 1-cost. Activate main once per turn if your opponent has 8 or more cards in their hand. Set this unit as active. It can't attack during its turn, which is obviously playing into the, hey, we want to block strategy. We want to restand our stuff. I am not convinced that players are going to have 8 or more cards in hand all that often. The game has a hard limit of 10, and at least from the game I played, it is really hard to keep a hand size in this game. Like, unless you're playing specifically white and you're doing nothing for like a bunch of turns, and even then, which means you're only ever getting it off in like the white mirror. I don't know. I am very suspect of this card. It only really works if you're playing against white because white bounces stuff back to your hand, and that might be the only scenario in which you really have a lot of cards in your hand. So I guess as white, you're bouncing a lot of stuff into your opponent's hand, but I don't know. I don't think I'm a believer in your opponent having a lot of cards in their hand. That's just not how I've seen the game play out. Then we've got White's Premier removal in The Witch and the Bride, a level 5 2-cost. Burst, activate this card's main, which it has a main in action. Choose one enemy unit with 5 or less HP, return it to its owner's hand. I think this is going to be a very important card in the format. Not as good as bounces in other games, because if you're bouncing, the things you'll want to bounce the most are their most powerful units most of the time, and those tend to be the ones that are link paired. And if they're link paired, they have haste, which means you're just adding another hasty body to their hand that they can attack with, and they still have resources available. They're able to attack with that. I don't know. It's very balanced, but I still think is going to play a big role in what White's going to be doing for the first few sets of the game. Then we've got Overflowing Affection, level 2, 1-cost, with a main, draw 2, then discard 1 with the phenomenal alt art. Absolutely gorgeous here. I think there's going to be a lot of chase cards in this game, guys. I think there's going to be a lot of chase cards. Then we've got Naval Bombardment, a level 2, 1-cost command. First, choose one enemy unit. It gets AP -3 during this turn. What this effectively says is that there's a good chance if your opponent has another thing to attack into your shields with, it won't be able to deal damage because hopefully it's a 3 AP that goes down to 0. Like that's the hope with this card. And then it has an action, choose one friendly unit with blocker, and then gets AP +3 during this turn. And then you need a blocker. So like this card needs a lot of things to work in multiple fashions to really come together. I don't think I'm a big believer. I think this card is probably not going to see all that much play. And that wraps up our cards because we wrap around to white once again. All in all, I think this is going to be a pretty fun format. I think there's going to be a good amount of mixing and messing around with, especially with the way that deck building works in this game. You have some odd 6 combinations you're able to make with the colors between being able to play 2 colors in each. So I think this is going to become solved in not that much time, and it's going to be that format for a while. But I do feel hopeful that the cards we have available are going to make a bit of a dent. If you guys want to know the kinds of deck lists I'll be building with the cards that we have just seen, then you guys are definitely going to get subscribed, because we're going to be breaking down all the different decks, and we're going to be showing you guys some more gameplay and get you guys up in the fold in terms of how to find success in the Gundam card game. With that said, I'll get you guys on the next one.